this? Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
After Review.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to the Grove Podcast new After Review podcast. Yeah, where we'll be taking a look back at the weekend's Premier League action, results, VAR, major incidents, stuff, laughing at our rivals and the like, all with a bit of an Arsenal lens. Hopefully it'll be shorter pod there with a slice of father and son dynamic, but in our usual style, with a mix of analysis but also irreverence and hopefully a lot of schadenfreude. And boy, yeah, we have a lot of that for you today. And joining me is someone who will be my regular co-host on these After Review pods is the boy, Gianluca. How are you today? Recovered from your weekend away camping?
Yeah, good. Literally just got back and had to hop on here to do my full-time job. And yeah, good to go. Quite excited for this, actually. I'm this new project for the Grove, and I'm very honoured to be involved, and hopefully will be the regular co-host on the majority of episodes. So yeah, very, very excited, especially because now the season's underway. Game week 1, we've had a very, very big game week with lots of things to talk about. I don't know if it will carry on the same vein, but this episode will definitely be good.
Yeah. It should be, and yeah, you're indeed you're meant to be the regular co-host when available. If you get yourself out of your bed at university in time, and yeah, you're right. You've actually literally just walked in the door, so I haven't actually spoken to you. So that was actually a genuine question about your camping weekend. Did you have fun?
Wait, we'll talk about that later. We'll focus on the football.
Focus on the football. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so yeah, what we'll also be doing on these pods is we're going to be getting regular contributions from friends who are supporters of other Premier League teams, and we'll get their view on their team's performance, which I think is something quite fun and interesting, and will give us a different perspective to our usual one-eyed POV. So there we go, and yeah, hopefully we'll get that throughout the season, and hopefully you'll enjoy those. Okay, so game week 1, and first off, it was very enjoyable watching Match of the Day and with the opening credits and everyone, all Arsenal fans waiting for the moment when we see the Arsenal trophy lift, when you see Odegaard lifting the trophy, and we've got a whole season of that, which is always good to see, and it makes watching Match of the Day slightly more enjoyable. And yeah, maybe we've got 2 seasons, 3 seasons of that. Let's see. But one team that definitely won't be winning the Premier League, and then we're going to start off with Hull versus Man United. So Hull 2, Manchester United 0 at the MKM Stadium. And yeah, Man United got mauled by the Tigers. Couple of goals, Ajayi in the 17th minute and Mendy in the 38th. Ajayi, who's apparently
academy.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, put up the Arsenal Academy. So there we go. So yeah, what did you make of this result? What did you think when you were watching this? Apart from
it was quite funny. I joined one of my Man United mates. He was on a Discord call, and I hopped on as soon as they conceded, just laughing. It was so funny. He was just like, because they came into the season with a lot of optimism. There was quite a big sense, especially with the fixtures that they have at the start. Hull away and Ipswich at home are their first 2. There was quite a lot of optimism. They could start the season strong and get on the front foot. And as obviously that didn't happen. There was a lot of rumblings about all their new signings and stuff as well. There wasn't very much of many positive things to say about their midfield. Everyone was talking a lot about their midfield. I personally thought that even though they did sign Tielemans, they've signed Andre Santos, they've signed Belieber, there's not really a direct, that Casemiro replacement. Maybe they're aiming for Belieber to be that. I thought they're very, very weak in midfield, and Hull set up their game plan perfectly. They scored from 2 set pieces. Slater it was with the crosses for them. They were really, really good deliveries, especially for the second one. And Hull did what Hull have come into the league to do. It's whether they can do that on a regular basis, week in, week out, we will see. But they definitely caught Man United cold, and Man United couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I thought Man United were they were all over the park. They were very poor. They were toothless up top, anonymous in midfield, and defensively poor. I mean, look, they did have the majority of possession. It was yeah, if we look at the stats for the game, was
as you'd expect.
Man United had 72% of the yeah, 72% of the possession. Yeah, the XG was 1.83. They had 21 shots. Yeah, 41 touches in the opposition box, and lots of passing and all the rest of it. 6 corners and the like. Yeah, but just did very little with it. And I think Hull's tactics were very clear. Just get balls into the box very, very quickly. Man United had a lot of sort of defending clearance to do, but that was it. That was only possible because the midfield allowed it, and it was allowed from the wings, and just Man United pour all over the place. And what was also, and also the 2 goals. Yeah, the first one was very funny because I don't know if you saw, there was a picture of Maguire holding on to Mazraoui, so he couldn't even go and attack the ball when it broke. So
as in their own player, Harry Maguire.
Yes, Harry Maguire was holding on to.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Harry Maguire was holding on to Mazraoui as he was trying to go towards the Jai. And then also for the second goal, Luke Shaw was just so poor. It was really amateur defending. He dropped so deep. If he held the line, then potentially offside, but he dropped so deep, and the ball was so good. And it's one of those ones, you get ahead on it, you're not saving that. So it was, and a pretty good way to start the season. And yeah, let's see how Man United goes. I think they've got Ipswich up next. And yeah, I'm gonna now bring in our Man United correspondent for the season, Martin, a friend of mine, who talks a bit about the game, but also sort of looking ahead to Ipswich next week. And look, if you're Man United, you're thinking, we've got 2 promoted teams in our first 2 games. That's 6 points, and away we go. Yeah, let's see.
You need to beat the teams around you in a relegation battle if you want to stay up.
That is very true. That is very true. So here we go, Martin.
Pretty dreadful start for us last week against Hull away. Probably too many players who didn't really affect the game that well in the creative department. I think, they did well last year. The likes of Mbumo, Cunha, Dorgo even. Bruno's always been reliable, but they just didn't affect the game at all on Saturday, which was really disappointing. Despite dominating possession, etc., but didn't really trouble Hull that much. And when you lose goals, it's always going to be a struggle away from home. We do look a bit vulnerable for set pieces. I agree with the media there. After the probably first 3 or 4 markers, it's a big weakness when you come to sort of the 4th, 5th, 6th marker. So that could be something that will get exploited by other teams. I don't know a lot about Ipswich, to be honest. And Andy said they had a couple of decent players in midfield. Obviously, they're on a high. Promotion from last year and picking up 3 points against Sunderland. They'll be really confident, and probably first goal is going to be massive next week, I would say. I can see United struggling again if they don't get that first goal. If they do, I think they'll win the game comfortably. So that first goal is going to be all important at Old Trafford to get the confidence back. So I think that the players from a United perspective, there's a lot of them that have still got something to prove. A lot of them need to back up a very good season with another one. And there's still lots of things that Carrick doesn't know about some of those players. I think Rashford will probably start the next game. I don't think Dorgu playing in that higher left position was a good call, really. When you're playing against teams on the break, I can see it would have worked, but he's just not that type of a player. So I think I can see Rashford coming in for him. Injuries-wise, I think we're still going to be missing a few, and I don't think they'll be back for Ipswich. And yeah, then there's the Mainu kind of question. I'd love to see him playing more, but can't really understand why he doesn't. Can he and Tielemans play in the same team? You're back with these same question marks about United's midfield, even though it's an area we've tried to strengthen. Obviously, Belieber to come in at some point. That will probably answer a lot of questions. It would be Belieber, Fernandes +1 with Mainu and Tielemans fighting for that other shirt. Hope that's enough for you, mate. Not a lot of Ipswich information in there because I don't have much. But yeah, bit of United stuff. So let me know how that is.
Okay, so thank you, Martin. And it's interesting already. They're worrying about say Ipswich at home and the first goal being important. And given the noise coming out of that camp, like in terms of if we had Carrick all season, we would have won the league, and we finished third last season and stuff like that. And look, they've only really lost the fat Brazilian at the back. I've forgotten his name already. Casemiro, and they've added to their team. They've got the best midfielder in the world ever playing for them. So yeah, it's just interesting that that's where they are already. So let's see. But yeah, Martin, appreciate that, and let's hope there's more more of those downbeat contributions to come in the future.
It's
I love you, man, but,
it's very Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Man United. It's very, very similar situation. They finished second in the league with Ole, and then they hired him permanently, and now they've had a slow start to the season. Everyone's way back then, they were like, oh, Man United need a reset, and it's still here in 26-27 season. They're playing Harry Maguire up front at the end of the game. Luke Shaw's still starting. Rashford's wanted to leave the club for 4 years, and he's still here. That's why Man United fans are getting sick, because they've seen it all before, and it's still happening, and it's going to keep happening. And that's what, maybe not so upset about the players, but the people above at the top that needs to do more about it.
Oh well, there we go. So let's see what happens. Now on to the I mean, the day was pretty good. Saturday, if you could have, as they say, if Carlsberg did football Saturdays, this would be it. And they had the evening kickoff, Brentford versus Spurs, the 5:30 kickoff at the GTEC Stadium. And wow, well, I don't think it couldn't have gone much better, apart from Thiago scoring the penalty to make them go top of the league. But 3-0. And after all the hype and all the noise and all the money, Spurs are still Spursy. And let me get. We have both a Brentford viewpoint and a Tottenham viewpoint. That was very good of you to get. So let's start with Tony, season ticket holder at the GTEC, a friend of mine, and Tony, far away.
Good evening, listeners. Tony here, Brentford season ticket holder, just giving you some thoughts about yesterday's brilliant performance against Spurs. If we didn't win 3-0, we could have won 6-0. And the icing on the cake was the clean sheet, which rewarded the outstanding back line and Queeve and Kelleher just as much as the brilliant effort by the midfielders and the front three. The team were absolutely fantastic, and they've good confidence going into it based on the 7-0 win in the last pre-season friendly, but it was the same starting 11. It was really aggressive, front-footed, relentless football. Not a single player would have been less than a 7.5 out of 10 for their performance level. And I have to give special mentions to Sangare, the new central midfielder. He was absolutely brilliant. He's going to be a fantastic addition to the Brentford squad and also to the Premier League. He's all action and he's one to watch. And also Keane Lewis-Potter, who's been really quite something at left back for the last couple of seasons, and he played there again yesterday, and you can see why Keith Andrews likes to start him. He even scored a goal. So it was a fantastic performance. We look forward to more of the same, and it's just really hopeful that we can keep the squad injury free and see what this squad can do this year, because I think there's a good chance that we could improve on last season and do really well. Spurs put in a really poor performance yesterday. I wouldn't have switched a single one of their players in for a Brentford player. It was that bad. And regardless of their £300 million summer splurge, they really do need to try and sharpen up and put in some more effort. Otherwise, they're going to have a season that could quite be similar to the last couple of years. So let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Tony. So yeah, I mean, I think as good as Brentford were and at home, as Arsenal found out, never easy game. But I was maybe expecting a bit more from Tottenham, but they couldn't defend. Passive midfield, toothless in attack. So very similar to Man United. But the damning statistics are, okay, they had 60-40 in terms of possession, but Brentford had 3.87 XG to Tottenham's 0.57. Brentford had 26 shots to Tottenham's 9. And, Brentford had 39 touches in the opposition box to 16, as you can see on the screen here. And it's like, that tells the true story of how the game was. And, and he called out Lewis Potter, who got the first goal, Janelt with the second, and Coyote with the third. And I think that first goal, was that the one where Sangare broke through and squared it, and Potter
Lewis
scores.
Potter back across the keeper, nice finish. Yeah,
that was a really well worked goal, and he called out Sangare, who seemed to, signing from, was it Lens for 39 million, which is big money for a club like Brentford, but he looked good, and Tottenham looked equally poor.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch too much, but I've seen a couple of things online. I mean, Tottenham fans they'll say like, oh, we haven't had our first choice players. Like Mikey Moore still playing, who isn't meant to be there. He had a couple chances that maybe if it fell to a different player, then they would be scoring. But in general, their midfield looked like nothing. Bergvall doesn't even want to be there. I mean, he lost the ball for the second goal, and that they conceded from, and he didn't even track back. Tonali was running around, but again, didn't really want to be there. Richarlison still playing up front. They're going to bring in Savinho Marmoush, but I don't rate Savinho at all, and I don't think he's going to do a whole lot more than anyone they have anyway. Marmoush maybe, but you can see that even though they've splashed all this money, they're still Spursy, and they still need a lot to do, because it's good throwing money at it, but you still have to put the performances out on the pitch, and a lot of them felt like they didn't really want to be there, not really trying, and Brentford just had energy, and that's really what beat Spurs. I mean, De Zerbi was playing his high line, and Brentford just had runners and runners and runners, and when you have slow fullbacks like Robertson and who is their right back? It wasn't Pedro Porro wasn't playing, but it was someone else that was there. When they have fullbacks, that they were just getting attacked by Ouattara, Thiago, and Schade in behind. They were always going to get caught out on the half turn, and then
Gray.
That was it. Archie Gray playing out of position at right back, and with the way that Brentford play, high energy, Tottenham didn't bring that energy, weren't able to match it, and what happened was deserved.
Yeah, and Archie Gray also captain at the age of 20, which I don't know. I mean, good on him, but it's a bit of a pointed mark on other players in that team, and maybe because Van der Ven wasn't playing. So
De Zerbi did an interview. He was the 4th or 5th captain choice. He had 5 captains. Archie Gray was 4th or 5th.
Okay, wow. How bad can then Van Hecke, Tonali, Robertson, Senesi, Gallagher be? Okay, there we go. And look, and it feels like the defending and the coaching is in line with that Ange Postecoglou and Thomas Frank had. So yeah, pretty savage there. And again, long may it continue. And what a couple of points. So an interesting point where I found from a Newcastle fan. He posted on X and he says, "I'm certain Spurs fans actually thought we laughed at Tonali for 100 million because we were bitter. That performance today couldn't be more accurate presentation of his performances without Bruno. They thought they were getting someone who dictates play. He absolutely cannot. He comes across as Mr. Cool in his shades, but on the pitch, he's far from it. He struggles to find space, pressure him, and he rushes his passing. The player they needed was Bruno." I'm astounded he went for 75 million, Bruno that is, and Tonali went for 100 million. City will kick themselves they didn't go for him. Don't get me wrong, some games he plays better than this, but against the team who press, he will be found out. And I think, as we know, with all the Tottenham signings this summer, they overpaid to get them in early. But, are they transformative? Well, they're better than what they had last year, but, and I don't expect them to finish 17th again as much as we'd love it. But how much of an improvement it's going to be, who knows? And let's also hear from one of your friends, a guy called Elliot. How do you know Elliot?
So Elliot is my mate from Warwick Darts Society. So he was there last year, and he goes home and away to literally every single game. He's got a season ticket and he goes to all the aways and every single game. He didn't watch this one because, as he'll tell you, he was in Japan on holiday and he didn't really have a great experience, as you will hear.
Here we go, Elliot.
Hello, I'm currently in Japan. I watched the game at 1:30 in the morning here, and about half an hour into the game experienced a 5.9 magnitude earthquake, and that somehow was not the worst thing I experienced in that hour because we were utterly dreadful. The players looked unfit. The centre-back partnership between Van Heck and Senesi was horrendous. I mean, they were both so slow. Van Heck didn't know where he was going half the time. I mean, we can see Gray clearly wasn't a right back either. Not entirely sure if Kinski should be number one either, but he was awful too. You've then got, look at that. I don't even know where to start with the front line. It looks like we're bringing in Savigno and Marmouche because, they were absolutely toothless. Mikey Maul was awful. I think the only shining light from that game was spells from Fernandes in that second half when he came on. He looked quite good. And Robertson looked pretty steady compared to what we've had at left back before. But overall, a 3-0 loss to Brentford. Brentford are a good team, but we should at the very least be drawing that game. And put it this way, if we carry on like that, we're not getting anywhere near the top half this season. And yeah, it's not great. It wasn't the greatest thing to be watching at 3 a.m. in the morning, but what can you do? As long as we beat Charlton on Wednesday, I'll be happy. So, yeah.
Oh my God! Just as long as you beat Charlton, how the mighty have fallen. Well,
he's got his priorities
for a long
straight.
time. But yeah, just that's it. Now they're relying on a confidence boosting win against Charlton.
Charlton beat West Ham, so it might be a difficult game.
Or maybe they're on for a. No, they're in Europe. Are they in Europe next season?
No,
no, they're not. No.
No.
They might be on for a United minimum 40-game season if that happens. But yeah, it's. Thank you, Elliot. We really appreciate it. Unfortunately, it's an Arsenal podcast. We will be laughing at Tottenham, but we appreciate you taking the time to do that and send that in from Japan. And yeah, let's hope we ask for many more of those again. So a great start. And look, we'll get to some of the other Saturday games later, but the lulls just kept on coming, and it came to Sunday afternoon, and you thought it couldn't get any better. And then up pops Aston Villa to say, "Hold my beer," and and Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. Lindelof own goal, De Kuyper 18, and then Hinchelwood with a goal in 30 and 31. And to top it all off, Gomez, is it new signing from Wolves?
Yes, from Wolves. Right?
Yeah, got sent off in the 40th minute. Now look. I think many people from an Arsenal perspective dislike both managers. So whoever lost, it was funny. And then the big talking point before the game was actually the absence of Watkins from the lineup, from the squad. It looks like Al Hilal are in for him, and he's actually open for it. And let's over to Unai Emery.
Supporters will see there's no Ollie Watkins in the squad. What can you tell them about that? Is that the end of his time here? Silence. Does that maybe suggest something? No. We are the place we are today here. It's okay. We are not speaking about.
Yeah, he's a strange guy, that one. And it was funny that even the interviewer laughed when he said it.
You never know what he's going to say, do you?
Yeah. But it's an interesting one. Again, just it's like he's still a very good striker, still do a good job, but maybe he's going to cash in and then take the Saudi money. So let's see. But anyway, his absence wasn't the reason why they lost, and actually they started quite well. First 10 minutes, they had a couple of chances. They were the team on top, and then after it all fell to pieces. And Brighton started to press better. And I don't know, have you seen the goal? Well, the goals. I mean, the Lindelof own goal was very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny. Yeah, you always love a player running in to defend, and the ball
Trying
hits the
his
post and
best.
hits the, and then it goes into the goal, and he just looks completely hapless. And then the Kuiper one, was that?
Yeah, it was just completely free in the middle. It was a good run from Rutter around the outside, and then just quite simple. But he that was good work from Rutter, yeah, and then the Kuiper tap in really.
Yeah, I remember it now. Yeah, Rutter down the left. Yeah, no, he played well, and then the third goal was a header, the header, I think, by Hinshelwood. But then, literally from the kickoff, and Aston Villa did this twice, and they highlighted it. They tried to play it back and try and play it out, and the rest of it, and then literally from the kickoff, Gomez gets caught on the edge of his box, and then it's a simple tap in, and 4-0 after 31 minutes, and then Gomez goes and gets himself sent off, and rightly sent off. It was a straight red. He was already on a yellow anyway for waving the imaginary card. So basically, I mean, Brighton, I would imagine, just took their foot off the pedal, and Villa had to just shut up shop just to reduce the embarrassment, and it was basically game over. And Villa looked basically average. Defensively really poor. I mean, bizarre. He cannot be their number one goalkeeper. They signed the guy from Parma, Suzuki. Is it Suzuki?
Zan
the
Suzuki,
guy that they. Yeah, from Parma. He's the Japan number one, isn't he? I think. Yeah. So a bit of a chaotic afternoon for them. Club in crisis, maybe a bit early, but they've lost Tielemans, they've lost Rodgers, they've lost Konza. Watkins is on his way out. Martinez, he's on his way out, even though he hasn't found a club yet. So it's likely, I think people are thinking, oh, maybe, and they've got European football, Champions League football next season. Yeah, I don't know. Could they be struggling even to get into top 6, 7, or 8 next season?
Oh,
this season?
Definitely. Everyone's made a big thing out of Newcastle losing all their players, and Crystal Palace losing all their players. But these are teams that know what to do when they sell all their big players. They're sort of built more to sell on these big players and then reinvest, which they've done better than Villa have, because maybe Villa didn't come into the summer thinking that they were going to lose. Maybe they expected to lose Rodgers, but a couple of them, I think it was Tielemans had a release clause, and there was one other that had a release clause, and they definitely didn't expect to be losing every single player that they were losing, and I don't think they were prepared, and they clearly haven't strengthened enough, because if you saw their starting 11 yesterday, I hadn't heard of a couple of the players that were playing. So if they don't reinvest before the window ends, then it definitely could be a very long season. Especially with Champions League, maybe they just sack off the Champions League and just focus on the league, or they know they're not going to go down and they do focus on the Champions League. But I definitely think balancing both, especially like they did last season, without reinvesting the money they've got, and with a severe lack of players, top quality players that they had last season, it could be very, very difficult for Aston Villa, and it'll be a tough season for Villa fans this year.
There was this one stat. They're only the second Premier League team, and I'd love to know the first Premier League team, only the second Premier League team to ever concede 4 goals, get a red card, and have an own goal against them in the first half. So yeah, I'd love to know who the first one was.
Own goal, that is a pretty damning stat.
Yeah, so very, very, very funny. So again, the lulls continue, and the hate watching weekend was very enjoyable, and then it starts to ease off a bit. But go on. I wouldn't
say Brighton looked amazing. Just to not just touch on Villa, Brighton looks good, but I would definitely say it was more of a Aston Villa were like at fault for their own downfall, rather than Brighton looking amazingly well. I mean, they pressed and they won 4-0 in the opening day of the season. What more can you ask for? And I think they will have a good season, but you got to give them credit, but it was also Villa being absolutely shocking.
Yeah, well. I mean, they did. I said they looked good. They pressed well. They broke well. They played with pace. But yeah, you're right. I think that's more in Villa. And then it's hard to judge Brighton because it's 30 minutes of easiness, and the rest is just we'll just make sure we don't concede.
Yeah,
training drill. Okay, so then next up we got Newcastle versus Liverpool. So 2-2 at St James's Park. Elanga with an early goal in the 5th minute, Gakpo with a very good equaliser, Willock in 57, another good goal, and then the main talking point was the Szoboszlai penalty in the 99th minute in Liverpool time, as we're calling it,
as it was last season.
Yeah, as it was last season, but much of that was the VAR. It was awarded in the 95th minute and 20 seconds, and so it's it's a bit. It's a bit disingenuous saying that, but sorry, it's Liverpool, so let's call it out. But yeah, I mean, as far as this game, these games always produce goals. I think I was surprised. Neither team really impressed. Neither team was really any good. But I guess Newcastle were the better team. They had, they were their usual. Even though they've changed manager, and thank God we don't have to see that tangerine prick Tyndall on the sideline anymore. But they were they're high energy, get the crowd behind them. Trying to run it, try to do things at pace, and then trying to be sort of tackling hard and all the rest. So just a very atypical Newcastle performance, but it wasn't with high skill. It wasn't particularly, apart from Wissa, who was very good in certain moments. He was able to break away. That, I mean, for the third goal, the way he took that ball in his own half, got past 4 or 5 Liverpool players were trying to surround him. The way he got the ball off was superb, and I think he did a couple of things similar in the first half. And actually, he should have really made it 2-1, 3-1 early on. He had a chance to.
Yeah, I can't remember what the score was at the time. Maybe 2-1.
I think so. Yeah, he had chances anyway, but he didn't put. Yeah, and so on. But he was they're good. So Newcastle was sort of okay. A very young midfield. I mean, they had They had
Lewis Miley.
Who's 20, and they had an 18-year-old as well, or a younger guy. What's his name? Lineup. Stua.
Oh, yeah. I've never heard of him.
Sean,
where did they sign him from? Do you know?
Yeah, Sean Stur. I don't know where they signed him from, but he's a Dutch player, age 18. So like having a central midfield of an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old against Liverpool. And this isn't a fully flying Liverpool, but still, that was quite risky.
They signed him from Ajax.
I've signed him from Ajax. So yeah, but yeah, they seem to do well. But again, I think also this is a lot about Newcastle, about Liverpool. Liverpool were average, not that great. I think the biggest talking point about Liverpool is this was Isak's first time back at St James's Park since that acrimonious departure, the transfer to Liverpool, and he got booed relentlessly throughout in true Geordie fashion, and I don't know if it impacted the way he played, but he didn't offer very, very much. Szoboszlai took the penalty, and what a penalty it was. You're not saving that. That was a
confidence for a 99th minute penalty, Very, very impressive.
Superb penalty. And I think it was just a case of Newcastle sort of holding off Liverpool, playing on the counter, which they sort of did pretty well. So what did you make of that game? Sort of Liverpool's performance, Newcastle's performance.
It was a lot of these games were quite similar this weekend. Like Man United, Hull, you just have one team trying to sit back and defend. But Newcastle were very good on the break. I didn't think Liverpool created, but also didn't do too much. I mean, their defense didn't look amazing. They just looked a bit average everywhere. I mean, they're still trying to get used to Iraola's new style of football, and I think they just managed to get by. And to be fair, to be able to scrape a draw with a last-minute penalty from the position they're in, I think they would definitely take it. St James's Park isn't an easy place to go to the first game of the season, especially with the circumstances with the Isak stuff and everything that was going on. Their midfield definitely looked a bit weak, similar problem to Manchester United. McAllister wasn't it. I mean, they don't have one like person that just sits there and in front of the defence, so it allowed Newcastle to definitely get at them on the counter because there was quite a big gap between the defence and midfield. But yeah, Newcastle were good without really doing much. Their game plan was effective and it worked, and it was a penalty. It was a bit clumsy from Lewis Hall rather than like rash or anything, but it was
soft.
Unfortunate.
It was soft, but it was a penalty.
It was just clumsy, sort of legs tangled, and he brought him over in the box. Who's that? Victor Munoz, their new signing.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he well? I'm sure I saw a Welsh flag come up when he came on.
He's Spanish. I don't know where they signed him from, but he is Spanish. And he looks okay. He looks bright. Xhaka looked okay again. I think he'll grow into being a decent player. But
Spanish.
But I don't know. It's a hard one to judge. Again, first game of the season, it is difficult to say. But Liverpool, from the state of the game, they'll be happy with the point, and they'll just move on to next week. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I was. Unfortunately, I quite like Iraola. I think many people do. You know, he's sort of. You see him akin to someone like Arteta, maybe not the intensity, but he's always come across as a nice guy. So it's unfortunate that our rivals have not have a nice manager for a change. But it'll be interesting to see how they cope. They're still looking to get Barkler outright as a winger. I mean, that is not what they need. You know, they still need someone to cover, Van Dijk, who's just aging out massively. They still need midfield, but hey, go ahead and sign another fast-paced winger and see how you do from there.
They want to get rid of Gakpo when he was doing quite a bit. I mean, he's very hot and cold, Gakpo, but Barcola will benefit them if they sign him, and it means they could let Gakpo go. But yeah, I don't know if they really need him massively.
No, indeed, I'm not sure. And look, they've still got issues at the fullback. Kirkes and Frimpong struggled badly, both on yellow cards for most of the game. I mean, yeah. So please sign Barkler and no one else, because he ain't going to be winning you much on his own, not with a midfield and defence like that. But let's see. And also we had Marcus, a Liverpool fan. How do you know Marcus?
He is a course mate of mine and one of my best mates from the first year at university.
Okay, let's see what Marcus has to say.
In terms of the Liverpool game yesterday, I don't think it was great. Like most big teams, first game of the season, you want them to make a statement to say like, "Oh, we're coming for top 4 this season," and I don't think I saw that from Liverpool. In terms of signings, obviously we didn't get what we needed, a replacement of Salah, but like saying that, the new players, Jaquette, Araujo, Victor Munoz, they were good in that game, I think, against Newcastle, but it shouldn't have been that close for Szoboszlai to have to put away that pen in the 94th minute. I think our fullbacks were poor. Frimpong and Kirkes defensively, I just don't think they're that strong. Like, their only specialty is when they're going forward. Our midfield was okay, but looked kind of weak in areas, and I still think we need another midfielder to fill that gap, because I just don't think McAllister is that great anymore. And then going forward, Gakpo had a good game. Isak was poor, and I mean, I think we still need like a Barcola who is really good going forward, progressing play, so that Liverpool can go back to being that full counter-attacking football team that they used to be under Klopp.
Thank you, Marcus, our Liverpool correspondent for game week 1. And look, Liverpool, plenty of possession and pressure, didn't create much, and just too passive at the back. So again, nothing so far that we can see that has put too much fear into Arsenal fans. So, and then unfortunately the weekend stopped being fun, and Man City, Bournemouth at the Etihad. Bournemouth took the lead, 26 minutes, and then eventually City's pressure told, and Guehi in the 84th, their new summer midfield signing, and Guardiola in the first minute, unfortunately turned the result around into City's favour. And there's the stat going around: Bournemouth hadn't lost since January after their highest ever finish. They're on an 18-game unbeaten run, but this is a new season, new manager. Again, they've lost a couple of players. Krupi's out. I was quite impressed with their performance. It seemed to be the Bournemouth of old, high intensity, high energy, and maybe that's why City eventually won. Maybe they just ran out. They fatigued out of the game. Maybe it's a case of they just couldn't keep it up, and eventually City's pressure told. But even then, that pressure wasn't much. It wasn't huge. It wasn't like chance after chance after chance. I mean, there were a couple of chances. Guehi missed a golden chance early on. Haaland with his new haircut, and maybe it's going to be like Samson. He's cut his hair and he's going to lose all his powers. Let's hope. But he also had a chance. But I thought Bournemouth played well, but just fell asleep for the 2 goals, and City turned it around. I think just with the substitutions that they were able to make. What did you make of City 2, Bournemouth 1?
I just think once Bournemouth got the first goal, but I don't think they did that much, to be honest. I think their defending was a bit sloppy. They did give away quite a lot of chances, and I did think City would get back into the game at some point. It was a bit annoying that they got both. If they could have just got one, then it would have been fine. But to be fair, it was a good piece of play from Turkey, good turn from Guardiola, and a good finish. So the second goal was definitely good, but they had a warning sign with that free header from Guehi in the earlier one that he had, and they completely left him free for the second header. It was a bit of unlucky deflection, but still they should have done better on the corner. They had the counter where they scored the goal, and that was good, but then I think they definitely could have made more of their other chances. And from a City side, they did struggle to create a bit. They didn't have too many clear-cut opportunities, and I think it does bode well for Arsenal for the rest of the season, because if you look at people who you think are challenging for the title, obviously Chelsea played tonight and everyone's raving about them, but you have City, you have Liverpool, you have United that haven't really pulled up trees in the first 3 game weeks. So even though they did win, I don't think it's really an air of positivity around Man City because of the way they did it. But then again, you do say first game this season, it's just about picking up 3 points, and that's what they did. Maybe they'll grow into the season with Maresca and start playing better. But at the moment, again, not positive signs, but they did win, so I don't think they can really be complaining.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a, I don't know whether it was needs must or he's trying to galaxy brain it and be a Pep regen. You're starting the game with Guehi in midfield, Riley as part of a 3 behind Haaland. I don't know if Rico Lewis is a right back or not, but I'm sure he came on into the Community Shield as a midfielder type things. Yeah, maybe it's a case of needs must, but they just looked a bit confused, and that's as a lineup, and it doesn't sort of strike fear into.
I was going to say that. They don't look like the City of old anymore. You used to think of Man City and see these players like Mahrez, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Aguero, and be like scared to play them. And now they obviously have Haaland, but Foden's not doing anything recently. They have like Kusanov, who's good, but it's not like these big players that strike fear in you and that make you scared to play them. And they don't have the aura that they used to have. And that definitely means teams are like we've sort of taken it over, I think, because teams used to be scared to play them, not want to play football against them, and just eventually cave into their dominance. But now it's a bit different.
Yeah. So we'll see how they go. But I'm not convinced. They don't scare me as you're saying, and they just got away with a couple of late goals, even though the winner was pretty good, and it was onside, so there was no issue with that. And then look, they're City. They've gone and splashed 100 million on Berardi, 18-year-old. And will he come in and fix the midfield? Is he one for the future? And then there's talk of them reigniting interest in Enzo, and Chelsea are holding out for 120 million, and City will just look down the back of the sofa for spare change to pay for that. He's annoyingly a good player, and he would bolster that midfield. I'm not seeing much from Anderson yet, but again, it's early days, so he could be good. Brady, I'm sure he comes in. He was like decent for Morocco in the World World Cup.
We were
But
looking at him for a while.
But he's 18, and they can splash that money on him, and well, what can you do? It's City. But we'll see. And I guess Enzo's also going there because they need to increase. They need to top up their horrible rat quota now that Silva's left. So they need him in there. But they win. I guess they deserved it on a balance of play. But
so.
not convinced. Okay, so then we get to the lesser games of the weekend, and starting off with Ipswich Sunderland. So Ipswich, another game with a late goal. Their last minute winner for Ipswich, who beat Sunderland 2-1 at Portman Road. Clark, formerly Sunderland player, got a nice goal, nice finish. Unfortunately, it was from a sort of a Sunderland era, trying to play out from the back in the 90th minute. But this is one that potentially could have gone either way. I think Enciso for Ipswich was, I think, the star of the show, and especially he was really good for the first goal. Brilliant free kick by Angulo for Sunderland to equalise. I think both teams had their chances. I think Brobby had, but one of those ones that maybe a draw was a fair result, but one of those ones that Ipswich managed to grab at the end. And we've got Andy, who's been on the pod before, Sunderland fan, and I'm going to share his thoughts on the game. And he recorded this on 1.5. So it's a bit sped up, but it's still fairly clear, hopefully. Okay.
Hey there, greetings to the Grove podcast. I'm sure you're all doing well. Thank you for having me on. So we're back at it already. First game of the season, Ipswich on Saturday. Turned out to be a pretty disappointing start to the season. I travelled to Suffolk in optimistic mood, I think slightly apprehensive, but fairly optimistic. Sunderland have had a quiet summer. We've only brought in 2 players so far, but importantly, we haven't sold any of last season's core group. And we managed to keep hold of Granit Xhaka, which was massive for us. Heading there thinking, we're a decent team. Back end of last season, we had a good run. We started to play a little bit more expansively compared to how we played at the beginning of the season. So starting with that team wasn't really a problem from my perspective. But we knew, I was well aware, going to one of the newly promoted teams on the first weekend is, not to say it's a banana skin, but is a difficult task. You'd rather play them, I think, in January when they're a bit fed up and worn down. Ipswich have spent lots of money on a lot of players, and they seem like they've recruited, on the face of it, seem like they recruited better than they did last time when they appeared to just buy good championship players. So, as I say, cautiously optimistic. I think we're in a pretty good place, but we'd rather not have been playing Ipswich away first game of the season. Anyway, so the game wasn't great. It wasn't that much in it. Pretty good away performance overall, I think. We had quite a lot of the ball. We created some decent chances, not loads, but create some good opportunities, and it felt like we should have come away with a point. We made 2 mistakes for their goals. Fair to them, they punished us for them, and neither of them were kind of open goals. But felt a little bit disappointed that it went down like that, especially as the second goal was scored by Jack Clark, one of our former players, so that always stings a bit. It's inevitable, it stings a bit. So it felt like we'd earned a point, should have got a point, but Ipswich, to their credit, weren't bad. They were pretty organised. They weren't. It wasn't kind of. There was no kind of. It didn't feel like the atmosphere was really cranked up. It didn't feel like any kind of onslaught from a really bright team. But they were in the game obviously all the time. They were well organised. All of the stuff you'd expect, and had some lively performers at the top end of the pitch. So Emerson played up front. He's a big lump. Gave Dan Ballard quite a tough time, to be honest. And Ciso caused a lot of problems. Probably the best player on the pitch. Lots of problems with pace, skill, work rate, and they also had Abdul Fattawu. I've probably butchered that on the right hand side. He looked pretty lively as well. He looked really lively, but maybe a lack of end product is why no one has taken a chance on him as yet, although they bought him from Leicester, so you could say Leicester took a chance on him when they were in the Premier League. Anyway, so that was that. Disappointing result, but not massively surprised, I'd suggest. Highlights, our goal and our beautiful pink kit. Low points, Jack Clark. Rambling on a little, apologies. Hopes for the season, I think, probably follows a similar vein to what I've covered already. Cautiously optimistic. We've got good players, we've got a good coach, we're a decent team. We could definitely do with 2 or 3 or 4 new signings, and we're obviously going to have more games than last season. I think there's going to be more tough days than there were last season, but we haven't been in Europe for 50 years, so let's not moan about it. Let's enjoy it. I think we'll be all right this season. There was a quote attributed to our coach, Reggie Labrie, that said, he did say, they said we would finish mid-table in the Championship, we were promoted. They said we'd be relegated by Christmas, we finished 7th. We'll keep doing things the Sunderland way. I'd follow that. It's a good way to wrap up, I think. All right, thanks for having me on. Take care.
Okay, thank you, Andy. That was really good. So, Andy, our Sunderland correspondent, and looking forward to hearing more from him throughout the season. Do you think the season might be too much for them with Europe and trying to stay up? You know, that difficult second album, as they say, the difficult second season.
I would say I wouldn't have thought so at the start of the season, with how strong I perceived the 3 promoted teams to be, with not being that strong. But the way they've started, Ipswich surprised me with how good they were. The fact they were able to get and grind out a result against Sunderland, that I was really impressed. Hull obviously impressed me. Coventry we've yet to really see and understand and learn about. But I don't think they'll be dragged into it. I think they definitely have still got a strong team. They'll be in and around it, but I don't think they'll go down. It will be a struggle. It won't be as good as last season, but I think they will have just enough to stay up still.
Yeah, there should be 3 worse teams than them.
Yes.
You know, I was going to say Roker Park. Yeah, exactly. But Stadium of Light, difficult place to go with the crowd and all the rest of it. So they should have enough about them. And yeah, you know, we've got a bit of a soft spot for them because of Andy and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, good luck to them. Okay, then the final 2 games we'll quickly just run through. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 0. Dewsbury Hall with a nice finish. You know, after a bit of a mistake, I think it was. Munoz gave the ball away, but again a decent finish. And then for the second goal, with a good header, but that was all made by the cross by Ndiaye. Great cross by Ndiaye. It's just begging to be put away. However, before that, it's with a better team. Nketiah hit the post. Mateta struck the woodwork. So they basically were wasteful in their finishing yesterday, and they should have really been taking the lead. So I think sort of Everton got away with that a bit early on, and then once you miss those chances and Everton take theirs, you know, Palace then just couldn't get back into the game. Again, I fear a little bit for Palace this season. I mean, Andy from the Grove has got them being relegated, but they had a decent manager who's gone. So new manager in, Pierre Sage. Don't know. They're in a tougher European competition. Mateta wants to leave, or he's arguing about his contract. Sarr to Galatasaray is being rumoured. I mean, Munoz and Wharton are there for now, and they've got the mighty Eddie Nketiah up front. So, but again, a team that I think will struggle, will be sort of towards the bottom half this season.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything. I was going to say everything that you said, to be fair. Palace definitely should have scored in the first half. One of those chances should definitely be going in. It was a great save from Pickford for the Nketiah one, but Mateta should definitely be slotting that in. And then once Dewsbury Hall scores that screamer, or like a really good finish, it's difficult, and Everton got a bit more control of the game, and Palace didn't really get back into it. They could definitely struggle again, like Villa, but on a bit of lesser scale. They've lost a lot of players, and they could be losing some more as well. And they're in Europe again, like Sunderland. But then again, Crystal Palace, you say every season they could fall into it, and then they finish 15th or 14th. So everyone says this at the beginning of the season, but then again, I still think there should be 3 worse teams than them. I can see them finishing above Sunderland, if you want to put it like that. And yeah, I guess we'll just see, but I don't think they will go down.
Okay. Right, and then finally, Nottingham Forest 0, Leeds 1. Stack with an 88th minute free kick. I mean, Matt Sells should have done better. It was well hit, near post, but Matt Sells gets a big hand on it, and he should be putting that wide. And again, maybe one that should have ended in a draw. Forest were the better team. Benkovic hit the post. Igor Jesus wasted a couple of headers. Yeah, like with the Everton game, if you don't take your chances, you can lose the game. And yeah, that's Leeds' first win at the City Ground since 1971-72. And welcome Oliver Glasner to the Forest manager merry-go-round. And it's funny, the last 6 Premier League managers, or permanent managers of Forest, have lost their first game, so he's in good company there. And I've got a feeling with a few more results like this, he might be the first one to go. But anyway, Marianakis and that club are a bit batshit crazy. So let's see what happens there. And as for Leeds, again, I think similar to Palace, similar to Sunderland, it'll be interesting to see how they do this year. They're not a bad side. They survived relatively comfortably last year. They seem fairly stable. Again, manager seems stable. Some decent players. You know, Harry Wilson's joined them for Fulham, so if he can turn on that goal scoring, they could be one that again, yeah, there's going to be a group of teams, you know, lower middle, you know, all vying for similar positions, with different, you know, perspectives. So yeah, but yeah, and Forest are going to be in that lot as well. Yeah, that was like a 6-pointer in the first game of the season, as we say. So look, it was almost the perfect hate-watching weekend. A couple of late goals got in the way of that. But even with City's comeback and Liverpool's get out of jail penalty, for me, there's nothing that scares me for now. Now, we got our job done easy on Friday. And whilst our so-called rivals struggle, which is always fun to see, but it is early days. The transfer window is still open. Players are going to be coming back from fitness post-World Cup. But for me, you've got to enjoy this while you can. And for sure, it's going to bite us in the bum at some point, but until then, let's enjoy the schadenfreude. So what was your highlight and low light from the weekend? Quick one-liner on both.
There's a couple to pick from. Hull City, new boys, mauling Man United, and specifically the TikTok that Hull made after the Man United. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's very funny. You can go look at it afterwards. There's a great TikTok on the official Hull account about that. So that is my highlight. Low light, I mean, again, probably two to pick from. Man City scraping over the line against Bournemouth. Getting 3 points is a bit annoying. Also, bit of low light, my bloody FPL. As much as Man United did lose, and that was annoying, that was good that they lost. They absolutely messed up my fantasy, so that wasn't great.
Oh yeah, we will get to that. The obvious ones I'm putting to one side. So my highlight was Sunderland's new pink away kit. I think that was very classy. And my low light was Liverpool's new home kit. It's a bit horrible and looks like it should be a second or third kit or a training kit. So yeah, I'm going down the kit route. Love Sunderland's away kit and hate Liverpool's new home kit. So there we go. Right. So tonight we got Fulham versus Chelsea. The meeting of two previous failed Real Madrid managers, West London derby. I think there's a lot of pressure on Chelsea clowns to do well, given their signings, given no manager, no Europe, given a new manager. And Fulham, I have no idea. Not sure what's up with them. They got a new manager too. Don't know. It'll be interesting. Again, another hate watch. Fulham at home. Let's just see. I have a feeling Chelsea might win that one. What do you think?
I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence for Fulham. I'm very worried for Fulham because they haven't done what they usually do. They normally just sign older ex-Premier League players. They've gone for a new style with this new manager. Arbeloa signed a lot of youngsters, especially from Real Madrid. I think it could backfire, and I'm going to predict Chelsea to get off to a solid start, 2-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. Oh, league table. Right, and not top of the league. Oh my God, Arsenal are second.
God's sake.
Crisis.
No.
Brentford could have been there if it wasn't for Thiago. And I was actually really pissed off with Thiago missing that penalty because I thought I had him in my fantasy team and I forgot I'd taken him out, so it was okay. Yeah, look, you can't, yeah, but I mean, there's no point looking at league tables in the first week. Apart from this week, with Man United in 17th, Tottenham in 19th, and Villa in 20th. I think the table is really important after the first game of the season. So and long may it continue. And let's quickly wrap up. Gianluca and I do a £20 fancy league competition, and I think it's been going 4 years now. We're 2 each, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 2 each.
Yeah, you won the first and fourth, and I won the middle 2 years. I think that's the way it's gone. Yeah. 1 year he was doing so badly he paid up in December. So there we go.
When did you pay up last year?
I'm sure you owed me money. Yeah, I think I paid up early as well. But there we go. That's partly because I lost interest. Anyway, so my team is Big Consequences FC. I'm on 57 points, and Gianluca is Sesco Club Card, and I've already taken a 15-point lead, 57 for me, 42 for the boy.
Blame Man United.
Having looked at his team, I'm winning this one easy. I think the tactic is get some easy points early and then change everyone when all the signings are done and everyone's back fit from the World Cup. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my team as it stands. I'm not one of these people who wants a rival to do well just so my FPL benefits. So I'm not that bothered. Ramo and Cunha and Haaland and O'Reilly for me didn't. And you lucked out with Guardiola.
What do you mean? It was a choice. Actually, it was a choice between him and Guehi, so I would have got points either way.
Okay, well there you go. Right, cool. Anyway, that's it. Done. Try to do it in 45 minutes. You've got to go to work.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed that. Let us know in the comments. Feedback, thoughts on the show. We always welcome the feedback, even though we're most probably not going to listen to any of it. Thank you, Gianluca. That was a great first episode. We're back next week, and yeah, look, you can Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, X, at The Grove AFC, podcasts on Apple and Spotify, on our YouTube channel at The Grove AFC. Our next main pod will be a preview of the Villa game, most probably on Thursday, so keep an eye and ear out for that. And yeah, we really, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed that. Our first of 38. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Spurs. Thank you, United. Thank you, Villa, for making this inaugural pod a lot easier and a lot of fun. And yeah, until the next time, come on, you Gunners.